Hello my dear friends, my name is AKRX and this is Jurassic World Evolution and probably going to be the last video on this particular game until of course and unless you guys request me to do something specific. I decided to just film whatever's happening here after that deathmatch. Oh yeah, by the way, I mean in terms of talking about the game, we will still continue with the battle arena series, and stuff like that. So that's definitely going to happen. So don't worry about this part. In any case, what we are going to do is talk about things that I personally think could be improved about this game, and also in some parts this is going to be a response to Bestinslot's video as well, when he was talking about the news about the new content or the updates from the developers. And I've got a few things to add of my own. Apologies, my throat is a bit sore. and but yeah, I've got a few things to add to this of my own, and wanted to just share some of the opinions with that too. So now, first of all, I wanted to look at the dinosaur stats. Actually, let's, well, it doesn't matter really, but we can just do it from here. Now, for example, you will see here, T-Rex did not weigh 18 tons, okay? I don't know how they measure the height, I don't care about the height, but provided that it's measured from the hips, that's obviously wrong. But I guess to the head, depending on how it tilts, maybe 5 meters is about right, probably. But 14 meters is the wrong length, it needs to be 12 meters, okay? That's just absolute rubbish. Now with Spinosaurus as well, 20 tons is the wrong weight, just as well as the height would not be like that if they compare it to T-Rex, and the same thing, the stat for the 15 meters, I actually think it's correct and close to realistic. I could make it 16 maybe, but I think 15 is fine. Given the, ambiguous nature of Spinosaurus in general, I think we are safe with 15, okay? Now, with Giganotosaurus, I would definitely say maybe give it 13, just to kind of show, or maybe 12.5 to be honest. That would be a nice way to do as well, because if we were to kind of be very precise, but if they don't, since they did put the 0 after the 12 point and they do decimals, so 12.5, maybe 12.7, depending on how they, if they want to do the estimate from the jaw fragment, which is very low chance of getting it accurate from that fragment alone, but based on holotype I would probably say do like 12.5 perhaps. Okay, and 14 tons, yeah, that's bollocks. So fix that. And then there's a whole lot of other stuff that you can fix with this, and this is just one of those things that need to be addressed. Now, we also need to address the fact that dinosaurs need to sleep. Like, why are they not, sleeping? They need to be able to sleep normally, because it's just completely wrong that dinosaurs never sleep in this game. Just as well as it's completely wrong that they cannot wake up from being tranquilized. They should be able to wake up naturally from being tranquilized. J-POG, its predecessor, has done well on this, and I'm particularly surprised and disappointed that Frontier did not make this as the basic, fulfillment in the game. It's like, you've done a whole lot of effort to make it look pretty, but in terms of the actual skeletal and anatomy of the game, it's kind of lacking, in my opinion. And there's more to add to this than just that alone, so let's move on to the next point. Now, for example, we also seen that the animations are pretty repetitive. They're not particularly, variable from one species to another. So if you're at least going to do, especially for carnivores, I think it would be nice if they had a bit more unique animations to them, which would, make all the animals perhaps stand out a bit more. So, but we'll get to that point later in more detail. So the other thing I wanted to look at is making the fossil hunting process more challenging. and we don't have it here because I did not build the fossil, the expedition center. So let me quickly take care of that and while we talk about other points in the meantime. So let's where shall we build it? Okay, well, it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna build it here, and while it's gonna get built, I'm going to basically move on to other points to talk about in this game. And basically one other... Actually, it doesn't matter because it's already been nearly done, so we're just gonna do the big mini substation thingamajiggy. So hang on with me there for a moment, guys. I think we are gonna be doing quite fine here, no worries. Okay. There we go, so there's power. Now, if you go to this map, what we see in the map is that, first of all, the locations of certain species have to be fixed on the map. For example, Morrison Formation should not have Sauropelta in it. To my knowledge, Sauropelta never existed in Jurassic period, along with Allosaurus, Apatosaurus, etc., what's listed here. Those should not be there. And therefore, it's kind of wrong for them to include Sauropelta in it, because Sauropelta, if I'm correct, was present, well, in Cedar Mountain Formation, and well, yeah, we should not have Sauropelta in that Morrison Formation. That's incorrect. Just as well as I do not recall having, Stegosaurus and Ceratosaurus in Portugal, or having a Dilophosaurus in this, in China. That's just not something that I remember ever happening. Just as well as Parasaurolophus, to my knowledge, never existed in Mongolia. So this needs to be fixed. And another thing about the fossils, I was thinking maybe we could introduce a slightly more challenging aspect to it, because why is it always so easy and guaranteed 100% to find 100%, to find a fossil of a rare and high-rated dinosaur like a T-Rex or a Spinosaurus? You know what I mean? Or a Velociraptor. It needs to be a bit more difficult to find, like it was in JPOG, for example. You remember that moment when we had an excitement, every time we would see, oh, it's a T-Rex, yes, like, oh, it's a Velociraptor or Spinosaurus, like 5-star rated dinosaur, we would always be so excited to find it, and you know what I mean? Or the Ember. Why does the Ember say specifically what dinosaur it is? It shouldn't do that. It should be more like JPOG as well, random. Like you shouldn't know what species you're getting, and also they should hide the quality as well, so that we can either end up with nothing, or we could end up with quite a lot of things. And perhaps even more than one, sometimes maybe we could have 2 or 3 species bonus extraction, to genome at the same time once we extract the Ember. Or maybe we have one, but maybe have a lot of DNA there. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows? And the other thing I wanted to address is to introduce a fossil black market. I think a fossil black market could make a very nice addition, because it's very it's, first of all, this was something that we could do in JPOG, and I think that would be a very helpful thing to do as well if we were to make the fossil hunting process a lot more difficult, especially for the rare animals. And I think this should also be implemented in the form that when you purchase a fossil from a black market, it should damage your park's reputation, so it kind of detracts from your star rating for that moment. And this could be a way to compensate for, the relative ease of getting, these fossils, considering that it's not particularly difficult to make money in this game once you understand the process and how to do it. So the other thing I think would be very nice if we would have more attractions like the original Jurassic Park Safari, or the balloon tour, or the viewing dome, and perhaps even the boat ride like we've seen in Jurassic World, and have some decorations as well that would add to the aesthetic sort of parameter. So as an example, maybe here to add something to the variety to satisfaction, we could have like attraction variety, and maybe then have something like the aesthetics bonus, and or rating, whatever. So yeah, I think that would be really cool to have in this game, and could really add to a more complex, to a bit more to complexity, when it comes to problem solving in this game. Now, the other thing I thought about, and I think this is something that needs to be implemented, is to make dinosaurs a bit more tolerant and social, or at least make genes that are able to modify their social behavior in that regard. So yes, I find that a bit challenging, in a sense that we just can't, unless we disable the dinosaur escape, we cannot, make dinosaurs socialize in the same way we were able to do, for example, in JPOG. That just would have made it so much easier and more interesting. And I kind of feel like either this needs to be able to be modified, or it needs to go away, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, they need to be, basically, I think what they need to do is they need to maybe introduce the minimum that is required, but only have maximum with carnivores and don't have the maximum with herbivores. Maybe that's the way to fix it, and I think that would make a lot of things a lot easier. I recall Bestinslot addressed it in one of the points in this video of that he made, about the potential news of the content coming up. But I'm still yet to see, obviously, how exactly they're going to implement it, so I thought I'd mention it as well. So one other thing that kind of particularly is annoying is when you look at the dinosaur stats, you cannot see all these needs that they have before to you actually, were to, produce a dinosaur. So, for example, all of this you cannot see it, and I think that's a problem, because we don't really have any information about how many we should breed, in terms of, the amount. Like, we don't see anything about their preferences with population, and I think that's a big no-no. And considering there's enough space for this one here, there's plenty of space to put in more information that could be useful before we incubate a dinosaur. And I think one of the other points that I would personally appreciate is, given the space issues with the islands and building them, why don't we have a sandbox mode, but not exactly sandbox like this one, but more like a custom game scenario, like a JPOG, where you can have an island roster, where you can basically modify the island size and the island content on a base level to start with, like a preset of some sort, and then you would be able to just build your own scratch build park with everything that you have unlocked so far in the campaign game, for example. And as you progress, you can load that game and just basically add stuff more as you progress in the main campaign with the actual 5 deaths islands. So I think that could be a very nice improvement. Now, the next point, and in terms of when Bestinslot was talking about the whole issue with dinosaur sizes, and Giganotosaurus and Spinosaurus basically being wimps, which they are not meant to be, and considering that Giganotosaurus and Spinosaurus was meant to be a bit bigger than T-Rex, and Giganotosaurus was meant to be about the same size as T-Rex, and considering there was no base model for Giganotosaurus, that was a bit of a flop, and a major one, to be honest, because Giganotosaurus is one of my favorite dinosaurs as well. And not just that, but because it's just completely rubbish that they haven't introduced it properly. Let's get in here. Oh no, sorry, wrong hatchery. So yeah, I think they should have done this correctly. And in response to Bestinslot, I think how we can fix this, and if Frontier has already given him the answer, well, I mean, he displayed it on the screen that they are not planning to do any resize. I think that's absolute bollocks. The reasons they've given are absolute shit. I'm sorry about the language here, guys, but it's absolute bullshit. And I'm not buying it. Okay, I'm not buying it. Now, Bestinslot, let me know, or maybe if you can do a video of your own, perhaps talking about this in more detail of how you think this could be done, because you're a bit better, I think, at this than I am in terms of understanding the process. But what do you think, if would the modding basically fix and solve the issue of skins and resizing models? I think modding is potentially something that could fix many issues of this game. As far as the developers go, they seem to be giving us very lazy excuses for not doing it themselves, because I don't buy the whole crap that they're saying about how it will affect every other dinosaur and etc, etc. I am very much convinced that they're just being lazy about it, and they simply don't want to obviously say it out loud. So let me know what you guys think about this, and well, let's just hope that modding eventually is going to be introduced to the game. As you can see, there's a bunch of Indoraptors here, because I just thought, why not? And yeah, I mean, modding is something that I'm quite surprised they never introduced. You know, the games like Skyrim have modding, and can you see how much better the game has become and how much bigger the community has become once the, you know, modding has been introduced. So, yeah, let's see how that fight ends. Yep, that's done. Styracosaurus is a goner. Now, oh, Dilophosaurus is a goner as well. The one that was previously running around. I think quite a lot of dinosaurs here are just gonna die anyway, so... oh well, anyway guys, let me know what you think about this list. Do you want to add anything of your own in terms of potential improvements? And do you agree, perhaps, that the whole thing with how Frontier seems to be giving us these different, you know, excuses about what sort of reasons they have behind not introducing, you know, not changing the sizes of the models, are just complete rubbish. So of course I'm not gonna be claiming that I know a whole lot about the game developer process, but I know quite a bit about it, and I can tell you that I find this rather to be a very problematic excuse. So let's watch this fight. Bite his face, and he's a goner. Let's watch this fight. Our champion from the previous battle arena. And he gets totaled in this fight. Speaking of the animations, they need to fix them so that they can touch each other properly. Well, so long, champion. You've been doing very well against Indominus, but it seems that Indoraptor has taken you out very quickly, and... well, bye-bye. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and help me march to 1000 subscribers. Until then, I shall see you all later, and take care of yourselves. It looks like the Indoraptor is eating steaks.